Every morning at 7:30, Walter Millstone walked the same path, through Riverside Park's winding trails, past the duck pond, beyond the playground swings, to the ancient oak tree that stood alone near the park's eastern edge. Walter was 73 years old. His silver hair caught sunlight through the tree's spreading branches. Deep lines mapped his face like roads on weathered maps. His hands were rough from 40 years of construction work and honest labor, but his eyes remained bright blue and kind. The oak tree was Walter's oldest friend now. He'd been talking to it for 3 years straight, ever since Margaret died, ever since the house became too quiet for his heart to bear. "Good morning, old friend," Walter said each day. His voice carried the weight of accumulated years. "Beautiful sunrise today, isn't it?" He'd lean against the thick, sturdy trunk and share his daily thoughts about the weather patterns, about his grown children living in distant cities, about memories that floated through his mind like leaves on water. The tree never answered, but Walter felt heard in the rustling leaves, in the gentle creaking of ancient wood, and the steady presence of something larger than himself. People walking by sometimes glanced at him strangely, the old man talking to a tree alone. But Walter didn't mind their curious stares or whispered conversations about the lonely widower who had lost his mind. He knew what he had found in this daily ritual of connection, peace and companionship that asked nothing in return. One Tuesday morning in late September's golden light, Walter arrived at his usual time and place. The air carried autumn's first hints of coolness. "Good morning, old friend," he said as always. "Looks like rain coming." "Good morning, Mr. Walter," a small voice answered. Walter's heart skipped completely. He looked around quickly, searching for the source. "Up here, Mr. Walter," the voice called again. Walter looked up into the oak tree's branches. There, perched on a thick limb about 10 feet above ground, sat a young girl. She looked about 8 or 9 years old. Her auburn hair caught the morning sunlight perfectly. Freckles dotted her nose like scattered cinnamon dust. She wore a faded yellow dress and scuffed brown shoes that swung back and forth like a gentle pendulum. "Well, I'll be darned," Walter said softly, his voice filled with wonder. "How long have you been sitting up there?" "About 15 minutes today," the girl replied cheerfully. "But I've been listening to your morning talks for 2 whole weeks." Her smile was bright like sunshine through clouds. "I'm Rosie Mae Patterson," she announced with confidence. "I live with my Grandma Ruby just across the street from here." Walter felt his heart warming in ways he'd forgotten were still possible. "Well, hello there, Rosie Mae," he said with genuine pleasure in his voice. "I'm Walter Millstone, though I suppose you already know that from listening." Rosie Mae giggled softly. The sound reminded Walter of wind chimes dancing in a gentle breeze. "You tell really good stories to this tree," she said with earnest appreciation in her tone. "I especially like the one about your dog named Buster who could open doors with his paws." Walter chuckled, remembering that story from last week. That old hound was smarter than most people I've known in life. "Could you tell me more stories sometime?" Rosie Mae asked hopefully. "I mean, if you don't mind sharing with someone besides the tree." Walter looked up at this unexpected gift of friendship hanging in branches. "I'd be delighted to share stories with you," he said with growing warmth in his heart. "But first, tell me how you learned to climb so high up." Rosie Mae's eyes sparkled with mischief and pride. "Grandma Ruby taught me. She used to climb trees when she was a little girl too." "Your grandma sounds like a remarkable woman indeed." Walter settled more comfortably against the tree's trunk. "Tell me about her." "She's 71 years old, but she still bakes the best apple pies in the whole neighborhood." Rosie Mae's voice carried deep love and respect. "She raised me since I was just 4, after my parents went to heaven in that car accident on interstate." Walter's heart ached for this brave little girl who spoke of tragedy with such quiet acceptance. "I'm sorry for your loss, sweet Rosie Mae," he said with gentle understanding in his voice. "But you're lucky to have such a loving grandma to care for you." "She says I'm lucky to have her too." Rosie Mae swung her legs more thoughtfully now. "But sometimes I think she gets lonely when I'm at school all day." Walter understood that feeling, the weight of loneliness that settled like dust on quiet houses and empty rooms that once held laughter and conversation. "What grade are you in at school?" he asked with interest. "Third grade at Riverside Elementary down the street." Rosie Mae answered proudly. "My teacher is Mrs. Henderson, and she's really nice to all us kids." "Do you like school?" Walter asked, genuinely curious. "Most of the time. I love reading stories and learning about history." Her enthusiasm was contagious. "But math is really hard for me sometimes." "I was never good at math either when I was your age," Walter admitted with a conspiratorial whisper that made Rosie Mae giggle again. "But I learned that different people are good at different things in life." "What are you good at?" she asked with innocent curiosity and genuine interest. "Well, I was good at building things with my hands for work." Walter flexed his weathered fingers in demonstration. "Houses and porches and decks for people's families." "That's really cool, Mr. Walter," Rosie Mae said with obvious admiration shining bright. "I wish I could build things like that." "Maybe I could teach you some simple building if your grandma says it's okay for you," Walter offered without really thinking through the implications. Rosie Mae's face lit up like a Christmas tree with pure joy. "Really? You'd teach me?" "I'd be happy to if you're truly interested." Walter found himself smiling more than he had in months of solitude. "Could we start with a birdhouse, maybe?" Rosie Mae asked eagerly. "I've always wanted to make something for the cardinals that visit Grandma's backyard bird feeder daily." "A birdhouse sounds perfect for a first project," Walter agreed, his mind already planning the steps. "We'll need some wood and basic tools, and your grandma's permission first." "I'll ask her tonight at dinner time for sure," Rosie Mae promised enthusiastically. "She'll say yes, because she always encourages me to learn new things." Walter felt something awakening inside his chest that had been sleeping since Margaret's funeral service and the long empty months that followed her passing. Purpose, connection, hope. "You know what, Rosie Mae?" he said, looking up at her bright face. "I think this old tree brought us together for a very good reason." "I think so too," she agreed with wisdom beyond her tender years. "Maybe it got tired of being the only one listening to your stories every single morning." Walter laughed heartily for the first time in so many months that the sound surprised him. "You might be right about that, little one." From that morning forward, Walter's routine changed completely. He still arrived at 7:30 each day, but now he brought a small folding chair for more comfortable sitting and sometimes a thermos of hot chocolate to share. Rosie Mae would climb down from her perch to sit beside him on the soft grass. They'd share stories and dreams and observations about the world around them. Walter told her about his late wife Margaret, how she loved gardening and made the best strawberry jam in town, how they danced in the kitchen on Sunday mornings while coffee brewed. Rosie Mae shared stories about her parents' memories that Grandma Ruby preserved through photographs and tales, about how her father could whistle any song and her mother painted beautiful pictures of flowers. "Do you miss them?" Walter asked one day. "Every single day still," Rosie Mae answered honestly. "But Grandma Ruby says missing people means we love them really well." Walter nodded thoughtfully at the simple, profound wisdom. "Your grandma is right. Love doesn't disappear when someone goes to heaven." "That's what she says too." Rosie Mae picked at the grass between them. "She says love just changes into memories that keep our hearts warm." The birdhouse project began the following Saturday morning. Walter arrived with a small toolbox and several pieces of cedar wood. Rosie Mae waited excitedly with her grandma's permission and eager hands ready. "First we measure twice and cut once," Walter explained patiently as they worked together carefully. "That's what my dad used to say about everything in construction work." Rosie Mae listened intently to every instruction and held boards steady while Walter made precise cuts. She learned to hammer small nails without bending them or hitting fingers. "You're a natural builder," Walter praised her efforts. "Your hands are steady and your attention to detail is really impressive." Rosie Mae beamed with pride at his words. "I love making something with my own hands." The birdhouse took shape over several Saturday mornings. Each session brought new lessons in patience and precision and the satisfaction of creating something beautiful. "Now we need to sand it smooth so the birds won't get splinters in their feet." Walter demonstrated the proper technique for gentle sanding. Rosie May learned quickly, her small hands working the sandpaper in careful circles around every surface. "This is the best part," she declared happily, "making it perfect for the birds who'll live here." When the birdhouse was complete and painted bright red with white trim, they hung it carefully in Grandma Ruby's backyard on a sturdy pole near the bird feeder. "They'll love it," Grandma Ruby declared with satisfaction. She was a spry woman with silver hair and twinkling brown eyes. "You two make quite a building team together." Walter had grown fond of Grandma Ruby during their brief encounters when picking up or dropping off Rosie May safely. She reminded him of Margaret in small ways, her gentle humor and practical wisdom, and the way she clearly adored her precious granddaughter completely. "Would you like to stay for lunch today?" Grandma Ruby asked Walter. "I made vegetable soup and cornbread this morning." Walter hesitated briefly, uncertain about accepting such kindness. "Please, Mr. Walter?" Rosie May added her plea. "Grandma's soup is really good, and we have plenty for 3 people. I'd be honored to join you both for lunch." Walter accepted with genuine gratitude, warming his voice. Lunch became a weekly tradition after their Saturday building sessions ended successfully. Grandma Ruby's kitchen was warm and welcoming with sunlight streaming through gingham curtains and the lingering scents of homemade bread. Walter found himself looking forward to these meals as much as the morning conversations with Rosie May beneath their tree. "Tell us about the houses you built, Walter," Grandma Ruby encouraged during one particularly pleasant lunch. "Rosie May says you built beautiful homes for families all over town." Walter shared stories of his construction career proudly. The satisfaction of seeing empty lots transformed into homes where children would grow up and families would create lasting memories. "The best part was always the finishing touches," he explained thoughtfully. "The front porch railings and the kitchen cabinets. The little details that made each house special." "Like our birdhouse details?" Rosie May asked eagerly. "Exactly like that, sweetie." Walter smiled at her understanding of his meaning. The small things matter most in building and in life too, really. As autumn deepened into winter's approach, their friendship grew stronger and more comfortable with each passing day of shared experiences. Walter began arriving earlier some mornings, helping Grandma Ruby with small repairs around her old house. A loose porch step, a squeaky door hinge, a windowsill that needed fresh paint before winter. "You don't need to do all this work," Grandma Ruby protested gently. "I can hire someone for these repair jobs." "It's my pleasure, Ruby," Walter insisted warmly. "Besides, these old hands need something useful to do with their time." Rosie May watched Walter work with fascination and handed him tools like an eager apprentice learning. "Could you teach me about fixing things too?" she asked one morning. "Every person should know basic repair skills." Walter agreed with enthusiasm, starting with simple tasks like changing light bulbs. The Cardinal family discovered their new birdhouse in early December's cold days. Walter and Rosie May watched from the kitchen window as the bright red male explored the entrance hole carefully. "He's checking it out," Rosie May whispered excitedly. "Do you think he likes what we built?" "I think he's impressed with our craftsmanship partner," Walter whispered back with equal excitement in his voice. The Cardinal returned the next day with his mate, and they spent long minutes examining every detail of their potential new home together. "They're going to move in," Grandma Ruby predicted confidently. "Cardinals mate for life, and they're very particular about their housing choices." Within a week, the Cardinals had claimed the birdhouse as their own. Walter and Rosie May celebrated with hot chocolate and homemade cookies while watching their new tenants settle in for winter. "We built them a perfect home," Rosie May declared with deep satisfaction. "They look really happy there." "There's nothing better than seeing something you made with your own hands being put to good use," Walter agreed, his heart full of contentment and purpose he'd almost forgotten could exist in his life. Christmas approached with unusual warmth in Walter's heart. For the first time since Margaret's passing, he found himself looking forward to the holiday season. Rosie May had invited him to spend Christmas Day with her and Grandma Ruby for dinner. "We don't have any other family coming over," she'd explained simply, "and holidays should be shared with people you care about the most." Walter had accepted gratefully, The invitation meant more than he could express. Christmas morning brought fresh snow and bright sunshine. Walter arrived at Ruby's house with a carefully wrapped present for Rosie May and a poinsettia plant for Grandma Ruby. "Merry Christmas, Mr. Walter." Rosie May greeted him with a warm hug. "I have something special for you under the tree." The something special was a hand-drawn picture of Walter and Rosie May sitting beneath their oak tree with the cardinal birdhouse hanging nearby. "I drew it myself in our class at school," Rosie May explained proudly. "Mrs. Henderson said it shows real artistic talent." Walter studied the drawing with tears gathering in his eyes at the thoughtful gift and the love it represented clearly. "This is the most beautiful picture I've ever received," he said honestly. "I'll treasure it always." His gift to Rosie May was a small toolbox with her name painted on the side in bright red letters. "Every good builder needs their own tools," he explained as she opened the box with obvious delight. "Now we can work on projects together properly." Christmas dinner was filled with laughter and stories and the comfortable warmth of family, even though they weren't related by blood but by choice. "This is the best Christmas I've had in years," Walter admitted as they sat by the fire with full bellies and grateful hearts. "It's our best Christmas too," Grandma Ruby agreed. "Having you here makes everything more complete somehow." Winter passed with continued morning meetings beneath the oak tree and Saturday building sessions in Ruby's garage when weather was too cold for outside work. They built a small bookshelf for Rosie May's growing collection of stories, a spice rack for Grandma Ruby's kitchen herbs, a simple bird feeder to complement the birdhouse. Each project taught new skills and strengthened the bond between the unlikely friends who'd found each other through morning conversations with an ancient tree. Spring arrived with cardinal chicks chirping loudly from the birdhouse they'd built. Walter and Rosie May watched the parent birds flying back and forth with insects and seeds for their growing babies. "We helped create new life," Rosie May observed with wonder in her voice, "by building them a safe place to start their family together." Walter nodded thoughtfully at her profound insight about the ripple effects of simple acts of kindness. Sometimes the smallest things we do create the biggest differences in the world. One morning in late April, Walter arrived at the oak tree to find Rosie May already waiting with excited news. "Guess what, Mr. Walter?" she called down from her familiar perch above. "I got an A on my math test. The first one ever." Walter's face broke into a proud smile at her academic achievement. "That's wonderful, Rosie May. Mrs. Henderson said all the measuring and calculating we do for building projects helped me understand numbers better in school." Walter felt a deep satisfaction knowing their time together had practical benefits beyond friendship and fun. "Learning happens best when it connects to things we care about," he explained with gentle wisdom. "You care about building, so math makes sense now." As spring turned toward summer, Walter realized how much his life had changed since that September morning when a small voice had answered his greeting to the tree. His days had purpose. His heart had joy. His hands had meaningful work to accomplish again. "You know what, old friend?" he said to the oak tree one morning before Rosie May arrived. "Thank you for bringing that special little girl into my life when I needed her most." The tree's leaves rustled gently in the morning breeze, as if acknowledging its role in creating this beautiful friendship that had enriched 3 lives. When Rosie May climbed down from her perch that morning, Walter had a special announcement to share. "I've been thinking about our summer building project," he began with excitement. "How would you like to help me build a treehouse right here in our friend's branches?" Rosie May's eyes widened with absolute delight at the incredible possibility. "A real treehouse. Here. A real treehouse here, with your grandma's permission and the park department's approval for the project." Walter had already spoken with both necessary parties and received enthusiastic support. "It'll be our biggest building challenge yet together." "Yes, yes, yes," Rosie May shouted with pure joy while dancing around the base of the tree. The treehouse project took most of the summer. Walter and Rosie May worked together carefully, joined sometimes by neighborhood children who were fascinated by the construction process unfolding. Grandma Ruby provided lemonade and sandwiches for the workers and became an unofficial project supervisor. "You're creating something magical," she told Walter one afternoon as they watched Rosie May hammering boards with focused concentration. "This treehouse will bring joy to children for years and years to come." Walter understood the deeper truth in Ruby's words. They weren't just building a place to play. They were creating lasting memories and a testament to the power of friendship and shared dreams. The finished treehouse was a masterpiece of careful planning and patient construction. It had windows that opened and closed properly, a rope ladder for climbing up and down, built-in benches for sitting, and a small shelf for books and treasures. "It's perfect," Rosie May declared at the dedication ceremony they held on a sunny August afternoon. "The most beautiful treehouse anyone ever built anywhere." Walter looked around at the gathered friends who'd come to celebrate their achievement, including several neighbors who'd watched the progress with interest and admiration. "This treehouse belongs to everyone who needs a special place to dream and imagine and find peace in nature's embrace," he announced to the small crowd of supporters. The treehouse became a neighborhood gathering place, just as Walter had hoped. Children came to play and read and share stories with each other. Parents brought coffee and sat beneath the oak tree, while their kids explored the wooden structure above their heads safely. Walter continued his daily visits to the tree, but now he often found the treehouse occupied by young visitors who waved and called down greetings to the man who'd built their magical play space with love. "Mr. Walter," they'd shout. "Thank you for our treehouse. It's the best." Those moments filled Walter's heart with deep satisfaction and reminded him daily that kindness multiplied when shared with open hearts. On a crisp October morning, exactly 1 year after their first meeting, Walter and Rosie May sat in the treehouse together, sharing hot chocolate and watching the sunrise paint the sky pink. "Do you remember when you thought you were just talking to a tree?" Rosie May asked with a mischievous smile. "Best mistake I ever made," Walter replied with heartfelt gratitude in his voice. "That tree knew exactly what it was doing when it brought us together." "Maybe trees are smarter than people think they are," Rosie May suggested thoughtfully. "Maybe they understand about loneliness and friendship more than we give them credit for." Walter looked out through the treehouse window at the oak tree's ancient branches that had witnessed their growing friendship and supported their dreams literally. "I think you're absolutely right about that, little one," he said with deep conviction and appreciation. "Some things in life are bigger than we can understand completely." The Cardinals had returned to their birdhouse for another season of raising chicks in the home Walter and Rosie May had built with care. "Look," Rosie May pointed to the bright red male perched on the treehouse railing nearby. "I think he's saying thank you for everything." Walter smiled at the beautiful bird, who'd become part of their extended family of friends. "You're welcome, little guy," he said softly. "Thanks for choosing our neighborhood to call home." As the sun climbed higher in the morning sky and other children began arriving at the park for another day of play and discovery, Walter and Rosie May climbed down from the treehouse to begin their daily routine of friendship. "Same time tomorrow morning?" Rosie May asked as she always did. "Wouldn't miss it for the world," Walter replied as he always did. They walked hand in hand toward Grandma Ruby's house, where breakfast would be waiting, and another day of simple joys would unfold naturally. The oak tree stood silent and majestic behind them, its branches reaching toward the sky like arms stretched in gratitude for the miracle of connection it had witnessed and the love it had helped create between two unlikely friends who had found exactly what they needed in each other's generous hearts. In the distance, children's laughter echoed through the park as they discovered the treehouse Walter and Rosie May had built, a legacy of kindness that would endure long after both of them were gone from this world, but never forgotten. Sometimes the most important conversations begin with a simple greeting to something that cannot answer back. But sometimes, if we listen carefully and keep our hearts open wide, we discover that everything in this world is connected by invisible threads of love and hope and the courage to reach out to others even when we feel most alone in life. Walter had learned that talking to trees might lead to finding exactly the friendship he needed hidden in the branches of possibility and grace. And Rosie May had learned that sometimes the best teachers come in the form of lonely old men who have wisdom to share and hands willing to build dreams into reality. The tree had learned that its patient presence could bring people together across generations and create something beautiful from the raw materials of need and the willingness to listen with open hearts. Every morning at 7:30, the conversation continued, not just between an old man and a young girl, but between all the hearts that had been touched by their friendship and the ripples of kindness that spread through the neighborhood like sunshine through leaves. The oak tree stood witness to it all, ancient and wise and deeply grateful for its role in the story of connection and love that had no ending. Only new beginnings every day when two friends met beneath its branches and shared the miracle of seeing and being seen completely by another soul in this world that could answer.